Well, hello there. Good afternoon. If you're wondering why I look the way I look, it's because I can't get warm. I think it's the low hemoglobin, results of the chemo, whatever. Um, so I wind up having to wear a hat because I don't have anything on my head um, other than skin and a sweatshirt because I'm always chilled. I'm always chilled. Today's got lots of sixes in it, which is really odd. I think it's June. June is a special month for Leslie and me. Our kids, Ryan and Dana, were born on June 7th and June 8th. Um, so June's a special month for us, along with other birthdays, family birthdays that we celebrate. Um, Today is the 1st of June. It's Journal 66 and T+60, 2 months since the transplant, which is a milestone again. Um, I was working on Misfire, the book, and I realized that I've mentioned it before, and I really never gave you any contextual foundation for what that book is or what it's all about. So I thought I might do that, and hopefully it'll make sense. And hopefully, again, hopefully by explaining it, it'll help me. Um, so I'd like to share a little bit about the Misfire experience with you. Um, People write books for all kinds of different reasons. Some people write books so that they can market their products and services. Other people write books um, to expand their audience. Some people write books for self-aggrandizement. I didn't write Misfire for any of those reasons. In fact, I started Misfire um, probably about a decade ago, and left scraps of it in my computer in a special file. And sometime after I got diagnosed, which was February 14th, 2014, I came across that file again, and I started looking at Misfire, and I realized that I had to write. I had to complete the book. I was compelled to complete the book, and it was for none of the reasons that I just stated. Um, it was because over the years that I'd been involved in educating um, colleagues, educating people in the repair community and the automotive service industry, I realized a lot of things about what kind of learners they were. In too many instances, they were individuals that were not treated well by the public education system. And because they didn't learn the way everybody else learns, because they were kinesthetic learners, they had to touch things and take them apart. Um, they didn't fit in a box properly, and consequently, they got pushed to the side. And I also recognize the fact that they don't do well with academic um, style learning tools because it takes them right back to the classroom, and the classroom was a really bad experience, and it's not someplace they wanted to be. Um, they flat couldn't tolerate it. So I decided I was going to go ahead and take my 52 plus years of experience fixing cars and fixing broken people um, in a service industry as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, um, and I would wrap them in a compelling story. So, in other words, I would write basically a novel, but the novel would have a number of business management lessons and principles um, folded into it, embedded in it, hidden in it, in many respects. So they would be painless, hopefully painless. And and as I started to write the book, I recognized that there were lots of lessons to share, more than I originally thought there were. And the original scraps, which were probably about 80 to 100 pages, became 200 pages, and the 200 pages became 300 pages, and the 300 pages grew and grew and grew um, as the content of the novel and the characters in it became more believable and richer in their construction, so that they would be recognizable, especially to small business owners, especially to contractors and automotive repair shop owners and dry cleaners and liquor store owners and um, God only knows what else, you know, whoever else you want to include in that mix. But I was just going through the book yet again, getting ready for another final edit, um, before we send it to the printer, and I realized something really strange. I realized something that actually moved me and moved me deeply, um, and that was the fact that there were many things that were included in the book and meant as lessons for small business owners to get through the experience of um, owning and operating that small business, uh, without as much pain and without as much difficulty as is generally experienced. But there were also lessons in there that were life lessons that had a lot to do with what I was about to experience through this odyssey of stem cell bone marrow transplant, and where I was emotionally, spiritually, uh, physically involved in that kind of a journey and the danger that it brings with it, and the discomfort and the pain, and how you get through that. And all of a sudden, I saw that there were lessons in there that came from martial arts, and there were lessons in there that that came from boot camp and sports and all kinds of different places. And it moved me deeply to recognize that I was not only willing but anxious to share those lessons with as many people as I could get them those lessons out to. Um, Certainly, as many people within the automotive service industry as possible. Certainly, as many contractors, general contractors as possible, because those are the two main characters in the book. But to any small business owner, uh, and the main reason was to help them recognize where the rocks are, because walking on water is easy once you know where those rocks are. Uh, but the only way you can find out where the rocks are is if someone gives you a map, or you are not, and you're willing to go ahead and get wet often. And I was willing to get wet often. So philosophically, it was also a really profound and rich example of what my worldview is in many respects, and how to get through challenges like the stem cell bone marrow transplant or anything else life is going to throw at you, um, without rolling up in a ball and in a fetal position and pulling the covers over your head. In essence, this experience made it possible, um, for me to know myself well enough to go through this transplant experience, to cope with the isolation, to deal with the physical pain, to um, laugh at the dietary restrictions and the fact that I can only wear clothing one time and then it has to be washed. I mean, I wish Leslie could laugh at that because she's the one who does it most of the time or all the time. But it's come back in essence to give me more than anything that I could have ever put into it. And I guess in that respect, when it finally does go to press and we do start marketing, it it'll lend itself to help other people who are small business owners enjoy the same benefit from that. So if I mention Misfire in the future, it's the book that I started to write 10 years ago and finally finished um, now in June. So until it's out, and when it's out, I'll share that because it's like giving birth with a 10-month or 10-year labor. Um, I'll let you know. Until then, stay well and take care. Have a great weekend. Um, know that Leslie and I care about all of you who are watching very deeply. Thank you.